I guess I didn't have it, but welcome. It's coming. It's a delayed start. Hang in there. We're getting the music going. I guess I hit the wrong one.
There we go.
Try it again. From the Messenger Studios, we are.
Mark and Steve ignite the spark. Dive deep inside the mind. Truths untold, we will find. Kentucky talks loud and clear.
There we go. Mark, we're live.
We are live.
Took a minute.
Finally. Yeah, guys, whenever we do some changes like this is always going to be we're on a new platform. We're on the Messenger Studios platform, but we are on Kentucky Talks today.
New podcast.
This is the new podcast. Mark and Steve coming to you live from the Messenger Studios, and we are going to kick this off. We were looking to change this up a little bit, and not talk so much politics today, but.
It kind of makes it hard when you get a local official.
Yeah, somebody
that's going to change the face of Kentucky.
Yeah, if y'all haven't heard, Mitch McConnell officially decided or officially announced that he's not going to run for re-election in 2026.
I'm officially announcing today my bid for senatorial candidate.
I'm there. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm going to run for Senate.
It's going to be a wide open.
There'll be a lot of people.
It's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be kind of the Wild West a little bit.
I mean, I still got to fill out some paperwork, but you know.
Well, yeah. So, hey, we'll get you there. Hey. I think it's a good thing. I mean, I know we say that somewhat tongue in cheek, but this is something that
it's the process.
It's the process. So maybe you explore it. Maybe you find it. Hey, there's some room for your ideas and things, and I think that's a good thing.
So, Mark, we're changing this platform, Kentucky Talks, to open it up to talk about a lot of issues facing Kentucky or things that involve news.
Just things. It could be news. It could just be celebrating our community. I think that's a big piece of what we want to do. We want to celebrate those, the people that local businesses, local charities, local events and things, and let people know, hey, this is what's going on in Meade County, Kentucky, and Central Kentucky in general. That is why it's called Kentucky Talks, is because we want to talk about things. Meade County is our home. We talk about Meade County a lot. But we want to talk about all things Kentucky. So we hope to bring some other aspects to this show, maybe some other guests and things that will just to talk about, hey, what is life like in Kentucky? What do people care about in Kentucky, and kind of go down that trail.
Well, speaking of that subject, moving forward in that election, if we, going for senator, you think that a lot of people, there's already an announcement for somebody entering into the race.
I think Daniel Cameron, who, as you recall, ran for governor. He's already put his name in. It was probably just a few minutes after Mitch McConnell announced his decision from the Senate floor. Now, he did this from the Senate floor yesterday. Yes, yesterday. Just after they voted to move the Kash Patel nomination forward into the Senate to go to the full Senate vote, which Mitch McConnell did vote for Kash Patel, which was a lot of us are wondering because he's disappointed a lot of us here lately, and
he's taking a hard line on certain.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things. So he's definitely taken, like you said, a hard line and basically drawing a line in the sand for himself. And
so who do you think will run? Who do you think will throw their name in the hat for the Democratic Party?
I mean, the Democratic Party right now, I'm hearing Pamela Stevenson, but the big one is Andy Beshear. We're hearing that Andy Beshear's going to run, which would mean he would step down from being governor if he was to win.
Yeah.
And then, so we have Daniel Cameron on the Republican side. We've also heard Andy Barr, who is the U.S. representative. I I forget the district that he's in, but it's over in the Lexington area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there's another person here. I'm not sure too much about who this person is, but his name is Nate Morris. As that name has popped up in a couple of the articles and things that I've been reading today. So now I think there's a good chance that we'll probably see Kelly Craft come back in.
Okay.
She also ran for governor. And then I think Ryan Quarles may run for Senate.
Sure.
So that, and I think there's going to, but when it's all finished, I think we're going to see probably, maybe another 3, 4, 5, including yourself, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I mean, I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta. I think you've got the head on your shoulders, but you gotta show other people that you got it.
I know it. So, senatorial race that will actually be voted on when he in the next election.
Yeah. So he's not retiring today. He's retiring at the end of his term, which will be the end of 2026. This will start in 2027. The election is in 2026. This year, there's no elections in Kentucky, other than maybe a special election here or there. I'm not sure about. But in the Senate seat is up in 2026. So you'll have you'll have those midterm elections, as they call them.
So, to talk about local government, the state government is obviously in legislation right now.
Yes,
Next week is supposed to be the wrap up, or the last week that they can legislate.
Correct. And they'll leave themselves a little bit. I think they're leaving themselves a little bit of room for vetoes and things like that. So,
Yeah. Currently, there's I'm trying to think of all the number, but it's well over 250 bills again. But there's bills.
It was 239 the first week, I think it was, or something like that.
So if you go on to Legiscan or bring people to the process, that website, legiscan.com, Kentucky legislation, and the status of the bills, it's got where it's at in the Senate, the House, who introduced it, and what it is. There's bills regarding natural resources. There's bills just to commend people. It's really interesting, and you have to look at what they're making changes to. It could be a sentence, it could be a word, it could be legislating to add and remove or take away. But they have 60 days, I think it is, total time to legislate all of the bills produced in Kentucky. And I don't know if you've noticed, there's over 200 amendments in our Constitution, or articles in our Constitution. Did you know that?
Say that again?
There's over 200 articles in our Constitution.
Oh, as far as the individual articles,
it's
yes.
like, if you were to look at our Constitution, it's like this thick compared to the U.S. Constitution, which is this thick.
Yeah, you're talking about so amendments.
For the Kentucky.
Yeah.
For the Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy because it's like navigating in a puzzle, but you're... or a maze, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, because you start off with, this is the Constitution, and then you amend and you amend and you amend and one amendment affects another amendment, and so you end up with layers of a Constitution instead of just a Constitution. So. We talked about this with a couple weeks ago on our other show. That maybe it's time for Kentucky to do to have a constitutional what do they call that?
Constitutional convention.
Yeah, I guess it's called a state convention or a constitutional convention for the state. And I mean, a lot of people are still pulling for one in the federal on the federal level, and I think that there's a lot of merit to that. And, I don't always agree with it because it's a little scary to say, hey, we're going to just open up the. It's like you're going to open it up to the world and say, okay, well, what's going to fall in? And sometimes when you do that, sometimes it's worse to have all those other things come up and to deal with. So there are things that you don't want in there, or maybe maybe it's a 50-50, but
Did you know that there is a shooter a murderer on the loose in Louisville right now?
That is
at a driver's license station, shot and killed 3 individuals.
Yeah, that's out there on Dixie Highway at
by the Kroger.
By the Cracker Barrel there on Dixie at Gene Snyder. And there was, I think, 3 people. Yeah, murdered. It's maybe 20, 25 minutes from here. My mom and dad live maybe 5 minutes from there.
Yeah.
So they, I mean, I know they're sheltered in place, and a lot of our my family that lives in that area are sheltered in place and making sure that they're not exactly sure where he is or where the shooter is.
They said there's no ongoing threat to the public, but it was at a driver's license facility, and that it's tenuous when you go into these places because you don't have a document or something like that. I can only imagine, based on our ability to communicate, right, or manage frustrations today, because we're so engulfed in our phone that we have lost some skill of communication over the years, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I can only imagine what could have been the nature or cause of this. Drugs, all kinds of things you have to think about. And I'm sure as they continue to investigate, they'll uncover these things. But it's just...
I started talking to you about this last night a little bit. Did you see, and I wish I had more information because I wasn't really prepared to talk about this today, but I think it would be a good topic to talk about and to research, is that they're supposedly coming out with an opioid vaccine. Now, vaccine is kind of a triggering word to a lot of people, but what this does, according to the person I was reading about, and I saw this first. I saw this on Fox News, I think it was.
That's one-sided completely.
And so, when you're talking about a drug,
I gotcha.
So this was brought up in the fact that it's supposedly in second level of human trials, and so. And what this is going to do is it basically completely removes your urge or your wanting for opioids, right? So, but there's with everything gets good, there's always bad. There's usually something bad that happens. You won't be able to use opioids as a painkiller ever again. It won't dull the pain because they're going to basically
turn one off and turn it
off
back
those. They're going to turn off that spigot.
It's like a two-way switch.
Right, you can't.
Light switch. You go to one side of the room, you turn it on. Ooh, I feel no pain, and then that opioid kicks in, and somebody turns the switch off.
Yeah. So in this case, you're not going to be able to have that switch off. It's so they'll have to find some other way. And there's a lot of, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good drugs that are coming out.
Have you tried them? No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's not my game. But,
so just to piggyback off of what you said, so it's actually research is going to do human testing in the first phase, and it's on oxycodone. And so as they test, they've been trying to do this for a while for several types of drugs. I think it'd be great for meth and some of the other ones that really cause our addiction, heroin, opioids, and stuff like that. But
I need to turn off something for food, but
they have that. It's a different one, but it just melts belly fat or whatever they call it. I don't know. So
I've never seen any of that work. So
I've seen it actually work. It's prescribed. They have some of it on television. I've seen actually. There's a few people locally that I've run into or encountered that have lost a tremendous amount of weight.
I've lost about 50 pounds. However, it's what I've been taking is expensive, and it's like it's one of those things you have to balance that with budgets and things like that.
Absolutely. I don't know how long it will take, but I do know that in fiscal court they were discussing means and methods for dealing with that in our local jail as well.
Addiction.
Addiction.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest reason for recidivism in Meade County is has to do with drug addiction,
drug abuse, drug addiction. Yeah. We've come a long way with programs here locally. There, you have the Adult and Teen Challenge out there on 1638 or Old Mill Road.
Sierra's house
here in Brandenburg, and these are these two facilities are really catering towards women, which is which was a big need. I mean, there's a need for men as well, but there was a big need for women because it affects it affects children in a lot different way when their mom is going through this, right?
Yeah.
And not that it doesn't affect them when their dad is going through it, but when their main caregiver is not there to, help them, and then it becomes a and in our community, the mom is still the main caregiver in most cases.
Here's an interesting news fact that actually applies to a lot of our local news. We have a lot of farming and cattle in Meade County, but cattle in general across the state of Kentucky. There's actually a decline in the U.S. cattle inventory, and it continues in a recent USDA report covered by our good friends over at the Kentucky Farm Bureau, but they say it's not going to happen soon, but we will rebound from it over time. It's almost like the chicken problem with the eggs. Have you noticed that the certain restaurants locally are charging a surcharge for eggs because of the increase?
Yeah, I mean, when you go to the store and now
I know I go from cow to chicken, but
I think everybody is probably aware of what happened. But there was a huge outbreak of bird flu starting. I think it started over in California, kind of moved east. Yeah, and they're saying it's there's some people who are saying that it's has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of these more like they have like free range chickens or unpinned chickens, and so they were able to get they were exposed to outside fowl. So you had bird flu that got into their nesting areas, and so it killed off. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a huge percentage of the chicken chicken population in the United States, and it's affected egg laying. It's affected chicken, and of course now you have to take those eggs. Instead of selling those eggs, they have to recover. They have to actually hatch them, which takes time, takes money. Takes and it
which
takes
means
more
less eggs.
It's even less eggs. And here we got Easter coming up in about 7-8 weeks.
So I'm glad you brought that up about Easter. The band boosters are actually doing a awesome fundraiser. If you go to the Meade County Band Boosters, you can actually make a donation, and they will come by and put out Easter eggs based on the count that you want.
Oh, nice!
And they'll put them in your yard for you, so that you don't have to, and you're making a contribution to the band boosters by doing that.
Yeah, that's. I think it's a lot better than the old days when they did the. They did the flock, right? Remember they used to flock people? That was fun. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, that was fun and funny. But this has got a little bit more twist to it. It's nice.
And help for those busy parents that just don't have the time, and then you wake up and your yard's full of Easter eggs, and you kind of pick the day that you want it done. Obviously, they can't do it all for the Sunday Easter.
Also means the Easter Bunny came.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Hey, Mom and Dad was here with me the whole time.
I know, right? Shh, I can't play this back for my kids now.
No.
Thanks, Mark. Interesting. If you are in education, I don't know if you know this or not, but WK in Elizabethtown and the Robbins University Center at Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, they've actually signed an amendment to their existing agreement, and they're expanding the number of WKU degrees available in the Hardin County region. Now, the only reason why I bring that up is because a lot of our students will go to ECTC or in that campus over at ECTC.
It's like half the cost.
It is half the cost. It is if you're trying to get your kids through college. I don't know why you would want to start out anywhere else other than a 2-year and transfer, given the high rate of dropouts.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of. I've seen so many kids go through that, and it was. Really, I ended up doing that myself. Yeah. I didn't go through ECTC, or back then it was.
I started at a 2-year college to save money.
It was a community college system back then. So I ended up going through a 2-year college to get started, and there's a lot to. I mean, I spent not even half the amount of money that I would have spent going to a 4-year university, even for just 2 years. For those 2 years. So it's a great way It's a great way to get into school. A lot of times, those colleges allow you to get right into whatever field you're looking for, so you get more of the excitement of what you're doing instead of the some people can get into the drag of a little bit. They get drugged down a little bit because I'm not in my field. I'm taking all these classes and those things are not. Yeah. We can argue whether they're necessary or not on some of those. I have found that a lot of those that I've taken are. Have come up and are useful in business and in my job. Yeah. So I'm not shying away from that, but it does when you're in the middle of it, you kind of get drugged down from that. It not depresses you, but you know what I mean. It makes it a little bit tougher to go to school each day.
Yeah. So let me. It's going to occur in the fall of 2025, but it's they're expanding to a Bachelor of Science in Workforce Administration. They will have a Master's of Arts in Education, which is important for any of our teachers that are trying to advance into administration. I think that's it's close, it's local. Student Affairs and Higher Education, and both programs will be available again starting in the fall of 2025 with courses offered both in person and online.
Now are they going to be, is it going to do anything to expand here in the Brandenburg campus?
It doesn't say that. It just says in the Hardin County campus. It says in the Hardin County, but WKU continues to be the Robbins University Center's largest transfer partner from them to WKU. So, if your kids are scout in college, which is happening right now because FAFSA was, February. Everybody's got FAFSA applications out. Hopefully, if you were planning on going to college, if you didn't, you're behind the power curve. And I'll tell you, if you stay tuned locally, we're going to put together the list of scholarships that never get applied for.
That's nice. We should do a show on it.
Yeah. A ton of scholarships, 500 here, 200 there, from different organizations.
You might think that 500 or 200 or
what have you
adds up. It doesn't add. You don't think that it's a lot of money, but man, when you get 4 or 5 of those, if you can apply for 4 or 5 and get them, and if nobody else is applying for them and you're eligible for them, you should do it. I mean, why not? I remember my dad for years tried to get us to do. There was a there was like a CB's. There was like a CB scholarship from the Navy Reserves. And he applied for every one of he helped our every one of his grandkids apply for that at some point or another. I don't know exactly how many of them had it. My boys ended up going into the Navy, so with the exception of Tyler, who went to ECTC for to start his college. So there's a lot of opportunities out there that people need to take advantage of.
Absolutely. In saying that, I would say that this school year, now is the time to be working on all of this. You cannot not be looking into these scholarships and everything else and not be exploring. So hopefully in the coming weeks we will have that together so that we can at least get it out, at least on the website too, so you can go and click them and it direct links you to some of these programs so that parents, students can apply.
I want to say something real quick, and I don't mean to make it sound like any of my guidance counselors or anything like that were horrible people or anything. But kids out there, you're in high school and you're even thinking about going to college. Go talk to your counselor. They can be your best friend through going through this process. They can't. It's almost impossible for them to reach out one-on-one with every kid and try to guess what you're going to do. So you need to. Don't be afraid to go talk to them, because once you show that interest, they love. And my experience has been that they love that. Right? They love for a kid to come and seek them, because then it makes it so much easier for them to really get involved and focus on those things that child's looking for, that kid's looking for, so he can move forward. Don't be afraid to speak up and say, "Hey, I want," or don't be afraid to speak up and say, "I need." Don't think you have to do it all on your own. There's a lot of programs out there to help you get into college. There's a lot of programs that help you pay for college. So explore all your options and go for it.
So I want to shift to focus. There was a writer from Kentucky Today that wrote about Tom Laick. I'm probably going to screw up his name, but Frankfurt legislation designed to increase. It was introduced to protect. For the protection of religious liberty in Kentucky, and it was approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. It's Senate Bill 60, and it's sponsored by Steve Rawlings, representative, Republican from Burlington, Kentucky. And it would ban all government agencies from taking any action that curtails or denies the right to act or the right to refuse to act in a manner motivated by a sincerely held religious belief. Which I think is important because you've seen over the last year different things that come out that prohibit certain types of actions. Well, in pastoral world, I would say that certain pastors are going to believe counsel, advise, do things, and with restrictions on counseling, this bill aims to protect those religious beliefs and or those people that are involved in religious type practices that encourage the religious views.
Some of the legislation and orders and things that have come down over the last several years have kind of confused the public and the ministers and the pastors about what they can and can't do. There's been a lot of pastors have looked at, especially when it comes to talking about like transgender and things like that. Those are the topics that have become hot button issues that worry pastors of whether they're going to end up being sued by the ACLU or something like that. Well, if you're, this will help a lot. This bill is intended, I believe, to help clear that up. Yeah. To allow them to continue working with the youth, working with the young. I mean, a lot of the situations are a parent has got some worries that their kids are going through something, and they bring them to their pastor, who is also a counselor, to help. I mean, growing up, I've always been able to go to when I was a Catholic. When I was going to Catholic church, I'd go to the priest or go to my pastor now and talk things through, just to say, hey, I've got this issue, or what do you think? And I think it would be a shame if pastors started getting into some sort of legal trouble when someone is really needs their help, and that's really what their calling is, and I think we need to protect that.
So, and the opposition, Chris Hartman of the Fairness Campaign, spoke against the bill. He said he feared the bill would also allow current state and local laws and ordinance to be subverted, including those dealing with domestic violence, property laws, trespass laws, civil rights laws, contract laws, and others. He feels that, when you start looking at certain ethnic religious views versus societal views versus clear laws. I think it's clear
there's always a chance that the extreme can come out, and I understand what people say. That I just think that a lot of times we in our society today that we, and this is on both sides of the aisle, that we go to the extremes. Say this is the world is falling, the sky is falling, the world is ending. We're not going to cut anybody's hand off for stealing something. Yeah, and so I think that
because that's your religious belief,
right? Exactly. It's so this is when somebody is arguing something, they tend to go to the extreme to say how how people are going to mistreat this and mistreat that, and in reality, we need to be looking at it from a point of view that, hey, there's going to be more good than bad. Yep. This is protecting people's religious rights and views. We've always held that child sacrifice is wrong, right? Yeah. And so this is not going to allow some family to say, I decided I needed to sacrifice my child or my dog or whatever. Those are things that are still going to be protected because those are individual rights and things that are going to be, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right?
So. Did you, on a national scale, just a big shift, global scale actually, did you know that one of the bodies returned by Hamas in the recent
did not match
the children were identified as that they were. I
also heard that they were. It looks like they were not killed in some sort of explosion or whatever, but they were actually killed by their captors.
Mm-hmm. It looked like a murder.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's going to happen now? You know what I mean? You got Doge going on. You got global politics going on.
You can look at it and say, okay, I hate to say it, so I don't mean this lightly at all, but did they just make a mistake? They thought they had the right person. They didn't. I mean, it's not like they're doing the terrorists are doing DNA testing. You know what I mean? Did they?
Yeah, but they should have accountability of the hostages that they took. That Israel has provided a.
Again, we're talking about you take hostages. Are you really worried about what exactly the identity of the hostage you took? And they didn't go out and specifically target individual people.
I got you.
They took widespread people.
Now you're killing me. So I got it. They took people, but the body looks like they murdered the person. So what do you got a freezer full of people you're hanging on to? Whether you murdered your own people or you have the Israelis, I wouldn't make that confusion. But I would definitely say that there is a question of.
I don't know to what extent the body was, what shape the bodies were in. Supposedly they died 3 to 4 months ago or something like that.
I don't condone the idea of eradicating a group of people. I do condone the idea of eradicating the philosophy of this group of individuals and finding peaceful solution. But if that has to be through the tip of a gun and a knife and a blade or whatever to eradicate its uprising again in such a way that it causes harm to others, absolutely, but not in such a way that it looks like fascist or like we're back in the times when the Jews. Again. Yeah, where the Nazi was trying to wipe out a race. No, we don't need to wipe out that, but the ideology that they have to harm other people has to be gone.
I heard this week, and you talk about that. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's like. We try to do it through education, but some people won't let you educate that along those lines. They want you to. They say they have a freedom to be that who they are, and it's a hard line to walk when you're saying, hey, I want to give you freedom of speech, and that means that that speech is protected. But when that speech becomes action, we have to stand up against that action, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Their free speech became bad action. They were free to talk about it. They were, and it's such a fine line to walk. It's hard to sometimes it's hard to swallow that free speech.
So did you see the score? SmackDown, Canada comes back at 8:18 and does a 3-2 pull off. From the controversy earlier this week.
And they actually took the cup, right? They actually took the 3-2. The four. It was I guess it's like a double elimination until you get to the final. And the final is a one game playoff,
1v1. Yeah.
So Canada takes the cup. Congratulations to them. The United States,
though they booed us.
Yeah, they booed us. We did not boo them, and but we were kind of like asked not to boo. So, and it just depends. I mean,
it's not good sportsman conduct for the team players to act in a manner that's unbecoming of the sport. Yeah. The fans, you can't control the fans.
No,
you can control them from throwing stuff out on the ice and say, "All right, time's up."
Except up in Detroit, they throw the octopi up there, right? So
that was
their thing, right?
Yeah.
I guess they still do that.
Well, I know we're running a little bit on time today, but I just wanted to make sure that for this news show, hopefully you guys want to tune in more often to catch up with what's Kentucky, on the talk of the Kentuckians.
Yeah, I mean, you see, we went through several topics today, not just one or two, and the idea is to talk about what's on the what are people in Kentucky talking about today, and we're going to continue that down that trail. So again, it's not going to be just political; it's going to be about a lot of things. And today we talked about education, we talked about politics, we talked about how to get the importance of getting a good education and standing up for yourself and make sure you can get those things done.
And tune in for future updates on potential opportunities with scholarships between colleges and private organizations.
I mean, we should devote a good half hour segment to that. I mean, alone. I mean, it's I think it would be a great thing for us to
help our
service
students.
For us to help the students in our community.
Absolutely. And also showcase those nonprofits that are doing things to support the students in our community. So with all of that said, I'm kind of, if you listen to this song, I'll let it play through, but Mark wrote this. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there. Mark, you did a great job with the little theme anthem for Kentucky Talks Radio. No, I'm just kidding. It's not radio.
It's not radio.
Podcast.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Close this out, Mark.
Guys, thank you all for showing up to us today. We appreciate all the support. Again, this is a new show. We're gonna need your help in filling it, making sure we're doing the things that you want to hear. Let us know. Give us a. You can reach us on Facebook at Kentucky Talks. You can also give us reach us on.
It's for 270-422-2155 is the office number. You can message us at the Messenger KY website.com.
Yep.
And if you have an account with the website, you don't have to buy a subscription, but you do have to set up an account. You can get our newsletters and email updates for all the podcasts that we do from the Messenger Studios. And lastly, we have 4 sponsorship spots for this show. So if you're a business and you're looking for an inexpensive way to get your name out there, this will be one of those spots. 4 spots. We give you 2. We cover all 4 sponsors twice in an episode, and you can call Jaden or talk to Sean at the office.
Well, Steve, thanks for getting us hosted in here and putting this together, and thanks so much for all you do for us in the community. And we ask that you guys out there come and see us again.